Is it worth it? The choices I made, are they worth it? I look at the path I chose. Were there alternate roads? Many, but this is where I'm at. So I smile big with my backwards hat. Now it's time to decide, was it worth it? Damn, was it worth it? The lane I've taken, the minds I've encountered, the beauty I've seen in a world full of tribulation. The grass is still green. While I wait for the next step, I avoid falling in line. Find my own path, not one of design. Makes things more complicated. So when I ask myself, was it worth it? I couldn't even imagine better. What it seems, I'll stand tall for my goals and dreams. When the hard times come, there will be many. I'll just proceed with constructive deeds. Stay above the banter. To say this was worth it? Hell yeah, it was worth it. Life is beautiful, so choose the right path. Set some goals to surpass the strife. Are you worth it? Please believe so. Search for happiness wherever you go. Love is around, easily found. Having trouble with your find? Here, have some of mine. It's a long day, just set some goals.
This is your man, the Drizzle, and I'm here just to let you know how things work around here. We really want to hear your stories. We want to see your art. We want to hear your music. We want to be a source of support for each other, for those around us. So, if you want to come on, have somebody there with you. I don't have to see you guys in the thing, but I have to be able to see at least two left hands, just so I know somebody's there to help you. If you don't have somebody, please reach out to us ahead of time so that we can make sure we have the proper information in case something happens. If you do come on and try to do something crazy, there is a delay. We will stop your stream and continue on like that's not what just happened. So please don't do that to us. We really look forward to helping each other. Come be with us. Good evening. I am Drizzle Stank, and this is Drizzle's Tank. And what do you know? You're not alone. Before we get started, I'd like to make a point. I am not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. Probably can't even take your blood pressure properly. I am just a person who also struggles with an affliction, Just here to try and help other people. Just give a place to show your art, tell your stories, talk about successful implants, whatever. And if you're having a hard day and you just want to come and talk about it, you don't want somebody to talk back, you just need somebody to listen, we're here. So let's start tonight off with a little song. I tried to do something different, and hope you like it. That'll be that third link there, Lucky.
All I wanna me, why not take all? Can't you see I'm no joke without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. You're a good boy, let your eyes and cry. I'll you took the best, so why not take the rest, baby? Take all.
Oh, come on, baby, come take all of me.
All right. Give me one moment here. There we go. So, tonight, there's a few topics that I find to be very important to me, especially mainly because if you've tuned in before, you've learned I'm what's called refractal, so I don't necessarily respond to medicines well. The emergency meds work most of the time. The things that have worked for me the best have been diet and just removing certain things from my diet, simplifying what I put into my body. So tonight, I'd like to cover, let's see here, diets in relation to epilepsy. Basically go over tonight four specific diets that affect epilepsy. They seem to be, when I go all over the place, it's the same four that I see everywhere. There's a few others that you'll find elsewhere, but these are the ones that you're going to find to be the most common. So let's start out with what are types of diets that affect epilepsy. And to really understand that, we kind of need to go over what dietary therapy is. What is dietary therapy? It's an approach to help control seizures, usually in conjunction with seizure medications. The classic ketogenic diet, special high-fat, low-carbohydrate diets are prescribed and monitored by physicians and nutritionists and can help control seizures in some people. It can help both children and adults with refractory seizures. Additionally, the modified Atkins diets, which also has some similar components to the traditional ketogenic diets, can be effective. What basically I'm going to cover tonight is four specific diets that, like I said, that tend to be the ones I see most everywhere. The first one being a ketogenic diet. The second being a low glycemic index treatment diet. The third being a medium chain triglyceride diet. And the fourth, a modified Atkins diet. So, these diets, really what makes them hard for most people is how specific they are. The requirements are pretty specific. And so when you try to set up your diet, it can be tough. It gets monotonous. You end up eating the same stuff a lot. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out for a lot of people. A lot of people tend to fall off of the diet. So even though it is working, it's really hard to stick with. It's very hard to stick with. A lot of times, neurologists and dietitians will start the diet when the child is young, so that basically that's the diet that they know. But there are problems with that as well. Eating certain types of diets can have side effects in growth, bone development, brain development, and the like. So you can't assume that one specific diet your whole life is going to be the solution. Especially when they find that for a lot of people it is in conjunction with medicine. So it's not just for people that are refractory, that don't respond to medicines. The first section I'm going to cover tonight. Let's see here. I guess I do want to point this out here in this section for dietary therapies. They do have a section here on the Epilepsy Foundation. It covers all this. All this that I'm going to cover tonight is covered very in depth on here. There's a lot of sources, places you can follow to the same places I went to get my information from. I just follow links and I'm just expressing what I found. And one of the things that they have here is a newsletter. They update it monthly. It's a lot of great information. Diet plans, things that are safe to eat in these ketogenic diets. Truly beneficial stuff. So we are going to start. Oh, not that one. Wink. So, what is the ketogenic diet? I mean, I could try and explain it to you, or I could tell you what the pros say. It's a special high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet that is used sometimes in conjunction to help control seizures in some epileptics. It's actually prescribed. Like sometimes the doctor will actually prescribe it. And then they have a dietitian of sorts monitor you. So when you have a proper neurological team overseeing your condition, things like this get covered. This was never covered for me. This was something that we went into and found on our own a ways back. I was having troubles with medicines and we were just looking for any answers. This was the solution that I had found. Was somebody said, here, try ketogenic diet. And once I started doing it, I responded very well to it. Adults and kids have to follow very different plans. The ratios for how much food an adult is supposed to eat from fat to carb, the ratio from fat to carb, how much. When you're a kid, it's a little easier to determine which foods they're going to eat on a regular basis. But as an adult, it's like you have to live your life. It's really hard to just say, here, I'm only going to eat these few brands and I'm going to only eat them this much, this time, every time. It gets rough. When I first started doing it, I know I truly was having trouble because I had learned how to do ketogenic diet from a friend of mine who he was over 450 pounds. He needed to lose weight in a manner that he was going to die if he didn't lose weight. So he went on the ketogenic diet and he lost over 250 pounds. He looks like a different human. I guess it was like 260. He's like 190 some pounds now. He looks like a different human. And so when I would see his results, I gotta at least give this a shot. I gotta give it a shot. And he would suggest different foods and brands of foods and different types of foods that met the criteria for the diet. You wanted to have a burrito. Well, you can't have a normal burrito shell, a wrapper or whatever, tortilla. You got to get one that's low carbohydrate. So I'd have to find these ones that were like, there was only 3 carbohydrates in it. And then they would use like a higher, or like more oils and stuff in it. And so it'd be higher in fat, lower in carbohydrate. And they were hard to find. They were expensive. It was tough. It was tough. And I started to find that it was easier for me to just not eat carbohydrates at all. Just, I don't really need bread. If I'm going to eat bread, it's really just a vessel for like jelly or butter anyway. So I'm not terribly worried about it. So maybe I'll just cut that out. Rice, like, unless it's like fried rice with some shrimp and a bunch of stuff on it, who cares? I mean, white rice, boring. And then like noodles and stuff, I'm like, we got this thing called a veggetti. Throw a zucchini, throw a squash in there, and boom, suddenly you have vegetable noodles. And once you throw sauce and butter and spices and all that, you can't tell the difference. You absolutely cannot tell the difference. I can't. And I'm a foodie. And so I found these simple solutions that were able to satisfy me. I didn't follow it very well. So I would like to cover what the actual ketogenic diet is, so that if it's something that does sound interesting to you, you have a good idea. So you're not just going off of my fly-by-night version of it. So the name ketogenic means that it produces ketones in the body. Keto equals ketone. The genic producing. Ketones are formed when the body uses fat for its source of energy. Usually the body uses carbohydrates such as sugar, bread, pasta for its fuel. Because the ketogenic diet is very low in carbohydrates, fats become the primary fuel instead. The body can work very well on ketones and fats. Ketones are not dangerous. They can be detected in the urine, blood, breath. Ketones are one of the more likely mechanisms of the action of the diet. The higher the ketone levels, often leading to improved seizure control. However, there are many other theories for why the diet will work. And that's it. You can get into so many different places and hear their reason for why it works. But the consensus that I'm finding is that it works. I can't verify it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a neurologist. But every time I'm reading their stuff, most places that I read it, it says most people react positively to it in one form or another, if you're following the diet in one form or another. So let's continue here. Who will it help? The Epilepsy Foundation says doctors usually recommend the ketogenic diet for children whose seizures have not responded to several different seizure medicines. The classic diet is usually not recommended for adults, mostly because the restricted food choices make it hard to follow. Like I said, it's a pain in the butt. However, the modified Atkins diet does work well, is what they're claiming. This also should be done with a good team of adult neurologists and dietitians. So it's like, if you're going to do one of these diets, they do suggest that you go and you see a dietitian. Well, I'm on Medicaid, so that's not happening because I'm not paying for one out of pocket, and they haven't referred me to one. So I just kind of have to look at their information and try and follow along as best I can, I guess, So if you'd like to find more information, this site here, it will be available. On here, they have information about adults and diets and very specific stuff regarding this specific diet. So if you do want to go in and dig in a little bit further, please follow up after this. I'm going to try and cover as best I can, but I hope everybody takes some time and goes and finds out for themselves. Maybe I'm wrong, but I from what I'm seeing, I'm feeling quite comfortable with what I'm presenting to everybody. And with the Epilepsy Foundation being as reputable as they are, saying the exact same thing as everybody else, I feel comfortable expressing this to you. So allow me to continue. The ketogenic diet has been shown in many studies to be particularly helpful for some epilepsy conditions. These include infantile spasms, Rett syndrome, tuberous sclerosis complex, Dravet syndrome, Dusa syndrome, and GLUT1 deficiency. Using a formula-only ketogenic diet for infants and gastronomy tube-fed children may lead to better compliance and possibly even improved efficacy. Recent studies have also shown that infants can be successfully started on dietary therapy too. So that's the thing, is they're finding this is helpful for kids. A lot of people, their children are born with just these unfortunate afflictions, and like anybody who has epilepsy knows, it's a silent disease. It's hard for people to comprehend your struggle. And so when a parent has to deal with that struggle with their infant child, that's tough. It's tough. It's hard. It's hard for somebody to wake up every day and say, I got to be here for my kid. This is hard. I'm going to be here. And when they're starting to really, really put work into the research to go for infants and young children and toddlers, you can see it when you look into the research studies and stuff. A lot of the studies, they start by trying to help the kids. And I like that. That makes me feel comfortable in this world. It sucks that it might take longer for me to be able to see the same products hit adults, but I would much rather hear about a parent that doesn't have to watch their kid struggle as much. Maybe their kid has 100 seizures a day, and they find out that if they just change the way this kid eats and in conjunction with a certain type of medication, that this kid maybe only has 3 or 4 a day or something. That's amazing. Stuff like that. I read these stories a lot where people just think they're so unsure for so long, and then they find something as simple as a diet. They spend a couple of years with their infant child fighting, trying to get their seizures to stop, and then they find something as simple as a diet. In conjunction with all the other things they've been trying, suddenly, dang, these kids are doing way better, and that's fantastic. That's fantastic to me. I love hearing that. It's a hard world. So to hear of these kids that are having positive results from something as simple as a diet. So let's continue. Diet works well for children with focal seizures, but may be less likely to lead to an immediate seizure-free result. So they're not saying it's going to happen right away. Like most things, it takes time. In general, the diet can always be considered as long as there are no clear metabolic or mitochondrial reasons not to use it. Diet is sometimes started to help reduce or even stop anti-seizure drugs. However, that does not always occur. Often it is a partnership between drugs and the food to help reduce seizures that works. So this stuff here, this is very in depth. This is basically explaining, you know, you need 3 to 4 grams of fat for every gram of carbohydrate and protein that you put into your body. So you need like a 90% of your calories from fat. That's a lot. It's a lot. That's hard to do. It's hard for people to keep a good heart with a diet like that. If you're not exercising along with it, you know, like if you're only having these high fats, it can be damaging. It can be, but when done properly and followed specifically, and making sure, you know, that if you're eating a normal 1500 calorie diet normally, that when you change to the ketogenic diet, you stick with a 1500 calorie diet, just change what you put into yourself. And they state here, if it sounds complicated, it's because it is. And that's why you should try and go see a dietitian. Well, like always, good luck. We don't all have healthcare, unfortunately. Healthcare is not an always available thing for everybody. The ratio is a 4-to-1 or 3-to-1 typically. If you'd like to learn more about that, I'd suggest you look a little further into this. They do have at the bottoms of all these, they have the resources and different places that they get their information from. Where else can I find more about the keto diet? They have all that stuff right here. So, are there side effects? Like anything, there can be side effects to anything. You can react to it differently than I do. That's one of my biggest problems is I seem to be allergic to everything. So I foods, medicines, fabrics, softeners, everything. I have to be very careful what touches and goes into my body, what I ingest. I have to be very, very careful because it doesn't take much for my body to react very negatively. I've had very severe reactions to medicines. I've had very severe reactions to foods. When I was a kid, I couldn't even eat food coloring because if you gave me like different food colorings and stuff, I was already ADHD and pretty wild anyway. I would go nuts just from food coloring. So are there side effects? A person starting the ketogenic diet may feel sluggish for a few days after the diet is started. This can worsen if a child is sick at the time. Make sure to encourage carbohydrate-free fluids during illness. It's like, don't give them Gatorade. That Pedialyte, all that stuff's not good. It's not good. Just give them some water with some salt, a little scoop of salt in it or something, like something your body can actually absorb. Other side effects that might occur if the person stays on the diet for a long time are kidney stones, high cholesterol levels in the blood, constipation, slow growth, and bone fractures. So if you're going to follow a diet like this, make sure you keep that stuff in mind. Make sure you're going, at least go get some labs every once in a while. It might cost you a little bit, but what's it going to cost not to get them? The unfortunate tat on that one. So like I said, all of this can be covered more. If you'd like to learn more, please follow the link to the Epilepsy Foundation about the ketogenic diet. for now, we are now going to move on to what is called the low glycemic index treatment, or LGIT. What is the LGIT? For epilepsy, it was developed in 2002 as an alternative to the ketogenic diet for treatment of intraceable epilepsy. Monitors not only the total amount of carbs consumed, but focuses on the carbohydrates that have low glycemic index. What is low glycemic, or what is glycemic index? Glycemic index of a food refers to how high that food raises your blood glucose after eating, compared to a reference food such as sugar. So just because it's not sugar doesn't mean it doesn't react the same way in your body. It's a lot of foods will just react the same way as sugar. There are different features of foods that affect glycemic index. For example, dietary fiber reduces glycemic index. The rate at which a food is digested and absorbed also affects its glycemic index. So buttering a piece of bread can actually reduce its glycemic index. Neat. How is it different from ketogenic? Well, instead of being like the 20 grams or whatever for the ketogenic, it's between 40 and 60 grams per day of carbohydrates. The food quantities are not weighed out to the gram, but are based more on portion size. It is based on the portion instead of exact measurement. Patients are able to live a more flexible lifestyle that includes eating at restaurants. Foods that are the basis for ketogenic diet are high in fat, such as heavy cream, high-fat meats, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, and eggs are also included in the low glycemic index treatment. However, on the LGIT, the percentage of calories from fat is approximately 60% compared with up to 90% on the ketogenic diet. So you're basically you're exchanging some of that fat for certain types of carbohydrates and a little bit more of them. This is a little closer to how I eat. I eat 50 grams per day, but some days I just decide I'm gonna have a carb day. I've wiped myself out so much that I have zero energy left, and I go, I'm gonna have a carb day. So I eat different types of carbohydrates all day long, and sometimes I'm like taking a few hundred carbohydrates some days, which is not good in terms of how these diets work. You're not really supposed to do it. It takes you out of ketosis. It makes it. It can take me a day or two to get my body back to processing food how it was. But I guess that's a risk I'm willing to take. It's my body. It's it's my bad health, and you know, there's some lines I got to draw where I say, hey, you know, I can't always be perfect. I'm not perfect. So we continue. Food quantities are not always weighed out to the gram. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Who will it help? Initial findings indicate that it is an effective treatment for individuals with either generalized or partial onset seizures. Generalized and have partial onset seizures. So I have a little bit about those. Seizures were reduced in a majority of patients using the LGIT. Some of these individuals achieved seizure freedom, and many were able to reduce their use of anti-seizure medications. That's always music to my ears. What is it like? It's flexible as long as carbohydrate intake is restricted to targeted levels and overall diet meets caloric intake needs. They recommend that all carbohydrates be consumed together with fats and protein to further reduce the glycemic index. So make sure you're eating them all at the same time. Don't have a little snack here, a little snack here. They're saying just eat your meals. Just eat your meals and don't be afraid of putting some fat in them. Due to the dietary changes, multivitamin and mineral supplementation, as well as calcium supplementation, is required to reduce the risk of deficiencies. You don't need your bones breaking. You don't need your muscles weakening. You don't want things not processing properly in your body. Like, just because you put something in your body doesn't mean your body knows how to process it or can absorb it or do it properly. So sometimes you have to know what things work in conjunction with those to assure that what you're doing is going to be proper. It's going to work out properly and be absorbed properly and used, and you actually get the benefits of the foods that you're eating. Because you can eat the healthiest diet on earth, but if your body isn't breaking it down, you're not eating the foods in conjunction properly with each other, then you might just be making it harder on your organs to process the things that you are putting in there. Are there side effects? Yes. Some children have demonstrated positive weight reduction. There have also been an increase in risk of acidosis while initiating the LGIT. Acidosis is a blood condition in which the bicarbonate concentration is below normal. Symptoms include lethargy, nausea, vomiting, and headache. Acidosis is diagnosed with a simple blood test. This can be treated with supplementation of a bicarbonate solution without affecting treatment efficacy of the LGIT. I had blood acidosis when I took Topamax. Didn't need a test. I was throwing up ammoniated blood. It was coming out of basically everywhere, and I was in rough shape. It was not comfortable, not good. I don't recommend it. So if that is one of your side effects, I recommend that's not for you. Stay monitored. Monitor yourself. They say follow-up visits are scheduled 1 month after starting a diet and every 3 months. I'm like, oh, who gets to go to the doctor that much? Like older people that have, Social Security or some. I just, not everybody has that kind of money and time to just go to the doctor every couple months or so. But that's what they suggest. During these visits, height and weight, as well as blood tests, are obtained to carefully monitor each individual. A registered dietitian with experience in treating patients with intraceable epilepsy assesses individuals to make sure all nutrition requirements are met while on the treatment. So, very, very, very similar to the ketogenic diet. Quite similar. I mean, when it comes down to it, really not that much different. Really not that much different at all. Just the amounts of how much you put into yourself. So, I mean, fairly simple. Once again, all the references are on that page. You can easily Google this stuff, Bing this stuff, whatever, and find the information, backing this stuff up. It's not, like I said, this isn't my information. This is stuff from the Epilepsy Foundation and Epilepsy Society and Epilepsy Alliance and different pharmaceutical companies and research companies. So I'm going through just looking at the people that are way smarter than me regardless. So with that, let's continue on to our third diet, which is the medium chain triglyceride diet. So, like we know, the classic ketogenic diet is mostly fat and consists of a mixture of long and medium chain triglycerides. The medium chain triglyceride diet, the late Peter R. Huttenlocher, MD, is credited with creating the medium chain triglyceride ketogenic diet in the 1970s. It has since been adapted, and various versions are used in centers across the United Kingdom and Europe. It is also used in the United States as well as select centers. The diet uses fat supplement that consists only of MCT fats, MCT oils. MCT fat can produce ketones more easily than the LCT fats and often does not require carnitine by the body or as a supplement to break down these fats into ketones. This means that the MCT diet, less total fat is needed, thus allowing more carbohydrate protein to be included in the regimen. It may also be beneficial to a child or adult's cholesterol and triglycerides in comparison to the LCT diet. So if you already have like problems with your cholesterol and stuff, or maybe you have like weight problems and you're trying to get onto a new diet, and maybe a high fat diet really isn't for you, this diet could work out. So there are different ways to ingest the MCT oils. It can be taken orally as something you can buy in stores, coconut oil. They have one called Liquigen. It's a product made by somebody that goes on children for ketogen. You put it on them. It's just put on. Another one that's they put it in onto you. You rub it on like a lotion or like a body oil, or after your shower or something. When your skin pores are open up, you put this stuff on like a lotion or something. There's a bunch of different neat ones that really help your body take in those oils, which I didn't know about. I'm going to start looking into a little bit more myself. How much MCT is needed in the diet, the amount of energy given from the MCT ranges between treatment centers. Let's see. The MCT diet has about 30% of the calories obtained from the MCT oil or emulsion and 30% from long-chain dietary fats. So the remaining energy breakdown was from carbohydrates, protein, and the naturally occurring fats in food. So they're saying that you got to have a little bit of all of them. Got to have that diversity of all the different types of fats and carbohydrates and proteins. You can't just use just the MCTs or the LCTs. You got to have a little bit of everything to properly do it. There's a site called Matthews and Friends, or MatthewsFriends.org. It's been around since like the 70s, I guess. It's a very, if you're trying to look into different types of diet plans and different places to, this one has ketogenic therapies, the kitchen, they have a cooking channel, they have events, like you want to know about events. They're all over the world. It's such a cool site. They're a very, very caring, very supportive site. And if you're trying to get some more information about diet and things that could really possibly help you, it's very specific. The breakdown is fantastic. So I do recommend, if you get some time, sometime during the week, go ahead and take a trip over to MatthewsandFriends.org.
So I'm kind of jumping through this a bit because realistically, their breakdown has a lot of really specific like foods, and they have a lot of name brand stuff. And honestly, I've never tried any of them, and I'm not trying to give them any love. I'm down with Epilepsy Foundation, but the rest they can advertise their own crap. So we'll move on to the fourth diet here, which is the modified Atkins diet. What is the modified Atkins diet? It's a change to the traditional classic ketogenic diet to make it a bit less restrictive, along with the MCT diet and the LGIT treatment. Is one of 3 alternative diets to use to treat patients with epilepsy. Its history goes back to nearly 2000. Some families who had used the ketogenic diet for many years eventually stopped weighing and measuring foods. They had noticed that ketones still remained high and seizures stayed under control. It was first formally studied in children and adults who had never tried ketogenic diet at Johns Hopkins Hospital by Dr. Eric Kossoff and colleagues in 2002. The first paper on this diet was published in 2003. A larger series of 20 children was published in December of 2005. This diet is now over 14 years old with greater than 500 patients published to date. Studies show it very similar to the classic ketogenic diet in efficacy. This says 14 years here. I'm not sure exactly when this exact page was written. Who knows? It might have been written in 2018, so it might be a few years since then. I can't verify. But cool. Really, that's diet. Diet has so much control. It can be so helpful. Just when I started moving through these diets, I eventually found myself at kind of like a modified version of this modified Atkins diet, to be honest. So this one hits most home to me. This is the one that allowed me to be the most I didn't feel so stuck. I didn't feel like I was just so under control by my diet. Like, can't go to eat at this event unless I make some food and bring it with me because I can't eat what they're going to have at that event. Cool. Or I just don't get to go. That happened a lot. That wasn't for me. When I started looking into this style of diet, the modified Atkins, I said, this is me. This is more me. So, how is it different from ketogenic? Although the foods are very similar, there are key differences between the modified Atkins diet and the ketogenic diet. First, with the modified Atkins diet, there is no fluid or calorie restriction or limitation. No fluid or calorie restriction or limitation. Although fats are strongly encouraged, they are not weighed and measured. Most patients will consume plenty of dairy and oils. One of the biggest differences is that there are no restrictions on proteins. Typically, 35% of calories for patients on the MAD diet come from protein. 35% of calories? Heck yeah, I can work with that. Foods are not weighed and measured, but carbohydrate counts are monitored by patients or parents. Like I said, I try to keep my carbs around 50 grams a day. And honestly, now that I don't eat that stuff all the time, it's not that hard. I enjoy the diet. I feel more comfortable. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel overly full when I get done eating, but yet I still feel full. I can eat 2 steaks and a mountain of vegetables and still feel comfortable. I can still make it through the day. I don't feel like I'm going to pass out. But if I eat that old, back in the day, eat that whole pizza or a plate of pasta or rice, I'm going to go take a nap. So the fact I can put a lot more protein in me, good. It started outside of the hospital, and the person does not need to fast before starting the diet. So you don't have to go see a dietitian, really. You can just figure this one out on your own. Just be consistent, be persistent, be observant of what you're putting in your body. Just don't put junk in your body. Recognize the foods that your body doesn't like. Figure out what helps you get into ketosis, and then just follow whatever diet you're comfortable with. You don't have to just follow it down to the T, is what I found. That doesn't mean you're going to have the same results. But for the guy that's allergic to everything and was 100 and some odd pounds overweight and couldn't keep himself healthy to save his life, when I first started doing this diet, I quit drinking. I quit taking Lamorticin completely. I weaned myself off meds entirely. I started doing just this diet and not drinking, and I didn't have a seizure for 3 years. It was like night and day. My body was so happy. My brain was so happy with these very simple changes. Removing the word artificial, manufactured, processed, preservative, metals, all this garbage stuff, all these inerts or inactive or any of this stuff. And it's in everything. It's in everything. As soon as I removed all this stuff from my diet, from my products I use for my lotions and stuff, my toothpaste, once I started pulling all this stuff out and finding the most simplistic stuff to use, my body was like, oh, cool, I can figure out what to do with this stuff. I get this. Oh, meat? Oh, that's the stuff we've been digesting forever. I literally make salads out of my yard. My body understands how to process this stuff. And I try to keep it consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect, though. I don't have to be perfect. I could just be close enough. If I get out of ketosis and I mess myself up for a couple days, well, I'm a grown man. That's my decision. If I want to make that decision, I can make it. It's not up to anybody else. My wife doesn't appreciate me making bad choices, though, so I try to make sure I stay in line. But I continue.
You better make a disclaimer to that statement.
Better make a disclaimer, she says. Lastly, foods can be eaten more freely in restaurants and outside the home. And families and neurologists can do it as well. So the diet is a modified Atkins diet as it allows for less carbohydrates than the traditional Atkins diet of 15 to 20 grams a day and more strongly encourages fat intake. Please remember that no diet should be tried without some neurologist involvement. So even though they don't help me with it, I still keep my doctor informed with how I consume. I let them know. If I eat something and I find out that it's causing me problems, I let them know. Whether or not they keep track of it or not, I can't verify that. But I do. I let them know. Who will it help? I want to read this just because this is on the Epilepsy Foundation's page once again. Who will it help? It seems to help similar numbers of patients as to the ketogenic diet, 40 to 50%, with greater than 50% seizure reduction, including approximately 15% seizure free. 15% seizure free. That would be great if it was 5% seizure free. That's awesome. It works for men and women equally and is being used actively in adolescents and adults, which is not how a lot of these epilepsy treatments go. They're not split up equally between kids and adults. They don't work the same in everybody. Like the ketogenic diet, it is mostly used for patients with daily seizures who have not fully responded to medications. It is under study for regions of the world with limited researches for which the classic ketogenic diet would be far too difficult or time-consuming as well. What are the foods like? Lots of high-fat foods, bacon, eggs, mayonnaise, butter, all the good stuff. Certain fruits and vegetables, nuts, avocados, olives. You know, all the stuff I love. It's all the stuff I like. I'm fine with that. I like. Okay, yeah, I can eat that. Oh, okay, good. That's the one that's the one I'm gonna go for. That works for me. Can there be side effects? Some children and adults lose weight. This can be a good thing, though, for those who were overweight in the beginning. I guess not so much if you were already skinny or didn't really need to lose any weight, but you know, maybe you have to bulk up somehow. Some patients have had increases in cholesterol. Occasionally, the change to this diet and the result in ketosis can make patients feel ill and not want to eat or drink. Kidney stones are unusual, and oral citrates are typically not prescribed, unlike the ketogenic diet. For all those reasons, the modified Atkins diet should only be done with physician supervision, which is the opposite of what they said at the top. So I don't know, whatever. Go to Matthews and Friends. They'll tell you exactly how to do it. You don't need a doctor if you're not an idiot. If you feel like you might be, hey, we all have ignorance to many things. So if you feel like this is something you can't hack on your own, reach out to your PCA or your the primary physician, primary care physician, PCP. So if a patient is diet free or seizure free, they say it can be stopped. I don't know. I'm not planning on stopping it. Once again, they have sources. There's places, links, everything to go in along with this. And I suggest everybody take some time and go and observe further. Find things that relate to you. Because while this diet that I'm doing, that I'm boasting today, works for me, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. You might have some other health condition that would say, don't do this. You can't do that at all. Because I hear some people can't do the ketogenic diets at all. So, I mean, talk to your doctor. Talk to your neurologist. If you get a chance, talk to a nutritionist. Research. The information's out here. The one nice thing about the world we live in today is you're not limited to the little information at the library around the corner. You got the whole world. And there's differing views, but there's a lot of views that everybody agrees upon, a lot of consensus. Don't be afraid to go looking for it. It might be something you're missing out on that is as simple as a Google search. So, why am I talking about diet? While I find people understanding how important these kinds of diets can be for certain people, one of the things that I notice as an epileptic who learned of a specific struggle that it was a long time before I learned how much it truly affected me, and that was ingredients in foods, specific ingredients. There's negative and beneficial food ingredients that get added to our foods that we eat every day. You know, if it doesn't have enough of one nutrient in it, they'll just add it. You know, oh, vitamin C added for nutrients, 100% of your daily value. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to absorb all of that. It's just like when you take a vitamin, a multivitamin, all of a sudden you whiz out neon yellow because most of that stuff doesn't get absorbed. And you're actually not helping your body. You're actually hurting your organs. You're making your kidneys and liver process faster. It's just taking that thing and just sending it through instead of processing it through your organs, through your stomach and through your large and small intestines and such. So if that stuff, the longer you can get stuff to take to process through your body, the better your body will absorb it. And so it's like if you drink a glass of juice, it's got like 50 grams of carbohydrates in that thing. So you drink this glass of juice, now all of a sudden, that's my carbohydrates for the day. I can't even have any more carbs that day. Now I got to figure out how to not eat carbs all the rest of the day because I drank a glass of juice. So how do I fix that? Well, you got to eat the fruit. And you don't, go eat the apple. Eat the skin. Eat the pulp. Eat the fiber. You need that stuff to push the things through properly. So you're getting those benefits. You're getting the positive benefits of the nutrients and the vitamins and things that are in these specific foods and vitamins and supplements. And people like, oh, I drink smoothies every day. It's like those things are like 300 grams of carbohydrate. That's like all sugar. Like by the time you put it in your body's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? There's no fiber. I can't. It's just gonna go through. Gone. And now your body just overprocesses this stuff, and you don't get any real nutrients from it. You just poo. Cool. And so you have to really be aware of what you're putting in your body. And the problem is, while they have these ingredients lists on your foods, on your labels, on different products, they have these warning labels. Hey, there's gluten in this, there's a nut in this, there's dairy in this, there's something in this that you can't have. They have those warnings. Those warnings exist. They're easy to come by. There's no reason why people can't know about things that can hurt them up to this point for those sort of things. Okay, great. Well, what about me? basically, my abstract is foods and drugs in the USA should be required to provide a warning label for epileptics or mandate the removal of specific ingredients federally that are found dangerous through careful research. I feel like there's a lot of foods that are on the market that are easily you can look on these websites that are on the websites that say what works and what's good. They're the epitome of what is the right information. You go on these sites and you read right on there, don't put this in your body, and then you go out and you're like, all right, well, that's in the medicine that you're trying to give me. How is that supposed to help my epilepsy as well? If it also has the same stuff in it that you're also telling me I shouldn't have in my body, that I should avoid. Did we throw logic out the window? Is it not an allergy? If I go and I eat at some fast food joint and it has some artificial ingredient, and then the next day I can't stop having seizures, what do you call that? And it makes me nervous how many people don't understand this. I see it in the forums where people come in, they say, hey, I had no idea that certain foods would affect me. I had no idea. My doctor never told me. Well, it's because the doctor probably doesn't know. And the only reason I say it is because I keep going to doctors and they don't know. They don't even know that ketogenic diet is a beneficial thing for children. I'd be like, you don't even know that that's what they use for kids? Like that in conjunction. Oh, I don't know if that's really true or not. Like, all right, let's leave. Let's get out of this office before I lose faith in humanity. That's scary. Because there's a lot of products, like I said, fabric softeners and stuff that I put against my skin after washing our clothes in it. And I'm a big red mess. There are so many medicines that I've tried, and we discussed it last week. I've tried so many medicines. 3 of them almost killed me. I've taken 11 anticonvulsants and 2 emergency. There are 3 emergency meds now. Is what we came to, what we did, what we figured out. In 15 years, I've been through so many medications. They either didn't work, made things worse, or stopped working after a while. And the thing that has helped me the most was removing alcohol. 100%. That means food coloring. That means weird artificial foods that come with alcohol in them somehow. I don't even know how they get it in there. Like, what's it for? It really has made the world of difference for me. When I get out of ketosis and I start eating like crap, give it a couple days and all of a sudden I'm right back. All of a sudden I have to fight for like another good 3-4 more days to get myself back on track. And maybe that's not the same for everybody. Maybe that's not everybody's experience. I can't verify that. I can't. I can read what these people say, and I can read what people say in the forums, and I can tell you what I've experienced. And what I've experienced is this modified Atkins diet where I get to eat far more protein, and if I want to eat a pack of bacon for breakfast, I can. I'm 135 pounds. Yeah, 138. Don't let me lie. I was 238 just a few years ago before I started this diet. My lung capacity is better. My blood pressure is better. My heart rate is better. My sugar levels are better. It's changed my life. It's upgraded my life. I really believe this to be something that should be mandated. I believe the government should either mandate that, just like the gluten and dairy and nut and all those allergies, they really do some research and figure out what foods affect epileptics for sure. I mean, do some research. Big deal. I'm sure if they started digging around in these forums and just started asking me, hey, are you willing to tell us what foods you say that make you sick? And then we'll try them out on you. And if it makes you sick, we can verify it or not through some blood work or something. Doesn't seem that hard. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love to know what foods are screwing up their bodies. I'm sure. I would. So I don't know what the proper steps are because I'm not a politician. I'm not a lawyer. I went to school for business. I know how to write a business plan. I know how to talk. I know how to market. But I am not a lawyer or a politician. So I don't know what the exact steps are necessary to try and make that a thing. To either mandate the removal of these ingredients from these foods and medicines and everything else like they are in other countries. Because this isn't something that's new. In other countries, the EU has a whole bunch of banned products. I mean, start off by just taking their list. And if they're not going to remove them, then there needs to be a warning. There needs to be a warning. Not a, hey, this might, like, no, these are the specific things. And these will hurt you. Because that's the only way. You got to be serious. People don't take things serious anymore. If it's not convenient for their lifestyle, they don't change. They make excuses and pretend the world changed. I can't be that guy. I want to know how to fix this problem. So if anybody has any suggestions, please reach out to me. I would love to know any thoughts, any foods that you find to be bad for you. Things you feel like you could almost guarantee if you ate this specific thing that you're going to have a problem. I want to know. So yeah, I haven't had very much luck getting people to respond to the stuff that I've talked about. But if people could just leave in the comments, just foods that bother you, foods that you think bother you. Because I'll take that list and I'm afraid. The next segment that we go into, if nobody's here to talk, is my interview with Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Do I look like a pharmaceutical rep? Do I work for CVS? No. But I was curious, and I wanted to make sure that the information that I gave about this product was correct. Not because I needed it to be correct for everybody else, but because this is what I'm trying to learn from me. This is where I'm at. This is where my journey has taken me. And so right now, I would like to play a song. It started out as a rap beat last night. And then I sent it over to Cutler. And he made it awesome. Sends it back. And I thought that was going to be all. But last night I participated in a live stream with a buddy Clay on Conspiracy Music. He and his buddy Doc, they do a few shows each week where they have a lot of heavy metal guys, a lot of cool power ballads, a lot of neat stuff of that nature. And so I went on, sat with them half the night last night. And I got to meet some really cool people. And one of the gentlemen I met, he goes by Gonfall, GAWNFALL. He's got a YouTube page. The super nice guy. And once you hear his guitaring, you'll understand why I immediately asked him, like, hey man, can I sample a couple of these? He's like, oh yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, please do. I'm like, oh, yes, this is going to be cool. So Steve puts his guitar in there, and Steve's already fucking awesome. So I threw Gonfall in there, moved Steve's stuff around, turned his guitar up to make sure it hit well, turned Gonfall down just enough so that it wasn't overtaking everything, although I feel like I could turn that son of a bitch back up a little bit. So this here, like everything, I just name them. So whatever comes to my head as I'm typing it in, I called it Flabao. This is Glitchy Farms featuring Gonfall. Enjoy.
You just play whatever you want.
This is awesome.
My apologies. I had to go stop some cats from being horrible, horrible cats. All right.
I had to do
So,
that earlier with my own cats. They were like, I got a video of them. They were like growling at each other and making noises, and like they sounded like they were going to tear each other apart. It was funny.
it's so funny with my old cat and those little ones because she hates those new cats. She hates them. And the boy cats, they want her so bad. They chase her around the house all day. And then little Callie, she's like trying to assert her dominance being the little baby kitty, and Noodles, she's just having none of it. So as soon as Callie starts coming up to her, Noodles is like gives her this growl that I've never even heard her make before. That surprises me, to be honest. I was like, uh-oh.
Everett will like grab Sweetie, like he'll like bite her or like touch her when she's walking by, and the other time she just goes after him, and she's just, I call her not so sweetie. She is just not sweet. She is not a nice kitty. She just wants to be a complete bitch, and yeah. So that's when I call her not so sweetie.
Not so sweetie. Well, Lucky, I'm gonna assume we haven't had any comers or takers so far today.
Not that I know. I mean, not that I know of. Okay, Peaches.
But yes. I see
you love Drew.
I see quite a few familiar faces in here. I'm happy to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate everybody coming by and seeing what we have going on here, and it's I really hope that this information can be helpful to other people, because I mean it really was. It was a long time before somebody had explained to me that that my diet could be so important to my epilepsy. Nobody said that to me.
Yeah, your stomach is like your brain. It's directly attached to your brain.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it because it's not taught to us. It's not taught in schools. And if our parents didn't know it and our parents didn't teach it to us because they weren't taught it, then it continues that cycle. Like Vicky was saying that they showed a local school posted a thing about nutritional benefits of school lunch, and it was a tray with corn on the cob, a container of milk, cookie, and a corn dog. Okay. Corn dog.
It's like all the same thing. It's like all the same product.
Yeah, and the corn dog itself, those are hot dogs are known to be carcinogenic. Same with lunch meats. So we know that those cause cancer. We know that those processed meats in that way that they can cause cancer. But yet that's your main thing. And then milk, like you think about it, just cow milk in general, which is pushed at like every school. It's full of hormones. So
that's what's crazy is I have a lot of people that tell us that they're like, I'm lactose intolerant, and for years I thought I was lactose intolerant completely. Turned out no, I'm just allergic to that crap that they sell at the grocery store. You sell me that bleached garbage stuff, yeah, I'm gonna have problems. Give me cheap fake cheeses with artificial crap in them and colorings and all this, yeah, I have problems. Bring me up to Vermont and milk that thing right out of the cow and make the cheese right there, and it doesn't seem to bother me at all.
Yeah, it's all the things that are added into it that are toxic to us.
And they don't feed their cows all kinds of growth hormones and shit either up there, which they say doesn't really affect it, but I mean, people
Oh
are
no, I think it does.
bigger. People are getting bigger and bigger every year. So
Yep.
I think it's just something.
I mean, if you think about it, remember like in the well, I remember in the 80s, margarine was like this huge thing. It was like, no, butter's bad for you. You have margarine, but when you think about where Peaches, you need to chill, dude. Margarine, where
Oil.
margarine comes from, it actually was made to feed chickens, and the chickens wouldn't eat it, so they were like, oh well, we'll market it to humans then. I mean, like it is. Like we need to look at this is what the system is bringing us, and the, like, unless we stop it and we say no more of this and we start educating each other, like the FDA isn't going to
They're not
educate
going to
us.
step up.
Like they're not stepping up for us.
Not
We got to step up for each other. We
No.
need to be there for each other and teach each other. Okay, this is what I know about this, and we might not be doctors and we might not be experts, but we can at least share the information that that we can figure it out together.
That, or we can keep eating oils that are made from the same things as the container they're put in.
Margarine's like one bond away from being
Yeah,
a plastic.
yeah. Margarine is we learned is like one chemical bond away from being plastic.
Yep.
So you're literally eating almost the same thing as what it comes in.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
It's really bad. But they had a whole marketing campaign for that. And we have to break out of that cycle of just believing these agencies and start to really, look to who benefits from it, who's going to actually. Peaches, you need to chill, dude.
He's got input.
He does. He's got some input. But we need to think about who benefits from it, who's behind it, and not take things at face value.
Yeah.
He's yelling fresh vegetables, unprocessed.
I know. Papa's making something. You waiting for it? You're waiting for it.
All right. Well, I guess we got about 25 more minutes here. And this part here that I'd like to go over now is really more. I've been trying ever since I found out that the RNS isn't going to work for me because my epilepsy is too generalized. I've been on a mission to try and find something that works. And I mean, CBD is one of those ones that it's not like I don't use cannabis. So it's not as if I'm not already using CBD in one form or another, but they have much more concentrated versions. They make tinctures that are very specific, and honestly, I don't think it's out of the question to believe that I could find something that works really well for me, being that there are certain types of cannabis that work really well. Like I'll be having an aura and use like a granddaddy purple strain, and boom, aura gone. I don't know if that works for everybody, but it works for me.
I like how the doctor tried to say.
Yeah, the doctor tried to argue that's not true. I was like, okay, buddy.
I think I know my own.
Like I've been doing this for 15 years, and you guys have thrown medicine after medicine at me that hasn't worked. I think I can tell you what works, dickhead. So we moved on from him.
You just need to remember who's paying you to have that opinion. Nobody. Who's paying him to have that opinion about medicines? Someone else is paying him. Big
yeah.
Problem. So that matters. That matters.
Yeah. Well, so I started looking into medicinal CBD, the actual one that's created, that's been researched. It's by the FDA. It's approved. It's legal federally across all 50 states. And even though in certain states, I keep talking to people and they keep telling them, their doctors keep telling them, no, it's not legal here. Lie. That is a lie. That is a complete lie. I've got the form right here. She sent it to me. That has everything. It's going to be linked into here. If somebody ever tries to argue that CBD is illegal in your state, or the medicinal stuff from one of the only companies that actually make it. Because I mean, you can go to Colorado and they have people out there that are just making tinctures for people. This one here, though, that we're going to cover is called Epidiolex. I kept asking my doctor, can I try this Epidiolex? I mean, I already use cannabis. Can I try this Epidiolex? Oh, well, it's only been researched for children. Okay. So, well, it hasn't been researched for adults. We can't tell you whether it could be harmful to you. So, all right. Well, you've given me a bunch of stuff that was harmful to me. Can we try it? No, it's not for you. Huh? What the hell does that mean? So I start going into the forums. Anybody else having these kind of problems getting this? Anybody? Yup. Everybody, just about. It's so hard to get it, even if you have the types of stuff that you're supposed to have to get it. And it's not really for adults. They haven't researched it for adults much. If you're an adult that has one of these specific afflictions, then yes, you can get it. But it's a process. In some states, you even have to go to the hospital to get it. Like, even though it's legal and they say it's medicine and you can go to CVS and not feel like a criminal to get everything else, for this one, they make you jump through some hoops and stuff, because marijuana is just so bad. It's just so bad. Hemp creates the strongest papers and degradable plastics and straws and all this, and works as a medicine. No, it doesn't. No. Don't you say that. So, there is a study that went along with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. So I'm going to read you what I've learned here, and I'm going to read you the email that I received back from after I had spoke with Jazz Pharmaceuticals the other day for about an hour on the phone, and I asked a few very general questions. And the person that I spoke to was very kind, very informative, wasn't weird, very, very kind lady. I really enjoyed the conversation. She responded quickly within a day. She sent me back answers to all of my questions. I mean, I couldn't have asked for any more. So, I mean, I've called other pharmaceutical companies lately. Trust me, they're not open. Good luck trying to get answers out of them. If it's not in their CMI, if it's not in their information, you're not going to get it. A lot of the research studies are closed and private, and you can't even see them. They exist, but unless you work for the company or for the FDA or something, you don't even get to see it. They're closed. Wait, what? How come I can't see it? So there's a product on the market, but we're not allowed to see the research about it? I'll just avoid that one. I'll just avoid that. Well, Jazz wasn't. They're very open. Very open. So, thank you for your inquiry about Epidiolex. Cannabidiol oral solution. Epidiolex is indicated for the treatment of seizures associated with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, Dravet syndrome, tuberous sclerosis complex in patients of 1 year of age or older. For complete information regarding Epidiolex, including important safety information, please refer to the full enclosed prescribing information, the FPI, which they included in the email to me. We understand your specific request to be How can I get Epidiolex, as it is hard to find healthcare providers who know anything about it? Isn't Epidiolex scheduled? And what are the inactive ingredients? Those were basically my main questions. I asked some other questions, and we had like I said, we had a great conversation. The lady was so helpful. And anytime she didn't know something, she took notes, and you could see it in the email. So we appreciate and understand your interest in finding a healthcare provider who has experience with prescribing Epidiolex. However, we do not endorse, recommend specific HCPs or treatment centers. Any licensed HCP who is authorized to prescribe medication may also prescribe Epidiolex. So they're saying anybody. No, they lied to me. The decision to prescribe any medication, including Epidiolex, is based on individualized treatment approach made by an HCP. A licensed HCP is most qualified to evaluate a patient's medical history and decide if Epidiolex is an appropriate therapy. If you need assistance finding an hepatologist or neurologist in your area, we recommend utilizing American Epilepsy Society's Find a Doctor, which I have provided the link through the Epilepsy Foundation. You need to find out who's in your area. There it is. Please follow that website. To find HCPs who have specifically treated patients with LGS or related conditions, you may also visit Find a Doctor through the LGS Foundation, which also a link has been provided. Dravet syndrome or related conditions, there is also a link. For the tuberous sclerosis complex, there's also another link. So all three of those are the ones that, if you're going to get prescribed Epidiolex easily, you're probably going to be a kid and you're probably going to have one of those. On April 6, 2020, Epidiolex became federally descheduled and is therefore no longer subject to Controlled Substances Act interaction number GBI 067918. There you go. Not illegal as of almost 3 years ago now. So when the doctors keep telling me that, oh, we can't get that here, and I've never even heard of it and all this, I'm like, why? Why is this so hard for these doctors to learn about new information? Who keeps these people up to date? I'm truly confused. So I digress. I continue. The enclosed Epidiolex full prescribing information reflects the federal descheduled status, and the Food and Drug Administration National Drug Code directory lists the current DEA schedule as not applicable for Epidiolex. Epidiolex has also been descheduled at the state level in all 50 states, in addition to Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. As stated in the enclosed Epidiolex FPI, Section 11, Epidiolex is clear, colorless to yellow liquid containing cannabidiol at a concentration of 100 milligrams per milliliter. Inactive ingredients include dehydrated alcohol. I'm allergic to alcohol. Sesame seed oil. I'm allergic to sesame seeds. Strawberry flavor. Could you elaborate? And sucralose, which, if you look on the epilepsy websites, artificial sugars and stuff are one of the main ones that cause seizures. That's one of the ones that is been studied. So sucralose? Are you kidding me? It's because it's for kids. Okay, cool. I'm really glad that these people are working hard to make this available, to make this something that, because it's helping kids. There's a lot of kids that are being helped by this medicine. And maybe they don't have the same reactions I do. Gosh, I hope not. Gosh, I hope people don't have to suffer like I do. Because it's a pain in the ass. I really hope that these kids can get some relief. That their parents can get some relief. That their teachers, their siblings, everybody around them can see this person do better. To live a better life. No kid should suffer. No kid. But it still makes me nervous to see alcohol. That's why I can't have food coloring. That's why I don't drink. That's why So I brought this to their attention. I did. I'm not trying to say don't use this medicine. I'm not trying to dog on the company, because in terms of ingredients lists, holy cow, theirs is as simple as it gets. There's one of the most simple ones I've seen on all of them. So that's fantastic. I'm glad they're not putting in a bunch of extra weird crap. But there is some weird crap. And I did send them links. I sent them links back. It says right here on this page, media info at we hope this information is responsive to your specific request. If you have further questions, please contact us at medinfo@greenwichbiosciences.com. I did. I sent them an email back with all the links showing why I thought those 3 ingredients were dangerous to have in their product. Who am I? I'm not anybody. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I ain't shit. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't freaking know. So don't take my advice. If this is a medicine that might work for you, please seek out a doctor that is not aloof. Look for opportunities to help this type of medicine grow. So that's not just 1 or 2 companies making it nationwide. It needs to be available. It needs to be available. And people have to know about the descheduling. So all these links, all this stuff, this is all going to be available on my stuff. Anything that's not, just comment, and I'll leave the links in the thing. Don't be afraid to ask me questions. And if you have some input, if you've taken this product and you want to talk about your experience with it, please, I'm begging people, please. You know, this could mean a lot to some other people, not just me. It's not just me that I'm worried about. There's a lot of people that were just as ignorant as me as of last week. I had no idea, but now I do. So the enclosed information is provided as a courtesy in response to your unsolicited request and is for your individual use only. Decisions regarding Epidiolex therapy should be dependent on the individual patient case and should be made at the discretion of a managing clinician. Clinicians should exercise their own clinical judgment for the patients of Epidiolex. Greenwich Biosciences has no specific screening, monitoring, or treatment recommendations beyond those providing the prescribing information. Sincerely, Greenwich Biosciences medical information team, adverse event reporting. To report a possible adverse event or product complaint related to Greenwich Sciences, contact them at the information that should be available somewhere. I also have the number for the FDA and MedWatch. I put up some of my my references, they'll be available. The Epilepsy Society and Epilepsy Foundation and directly to these medicines. That's who I go to. I skip all the rest of it. I go right to the sources, and then I follow wherever they got their information. That's where I go get my information. That's who I read. So I hope everybody got something out of this tonight. I mean, like we know, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy, and I just want to help people. I just want to help people. And even if it's not through talking to people, maybe it's just getting some information out there that other people were ignorant to as well. I hope this can continue. Really hope to get to see some people's art and music and poems and stuff, because I see them in the forums and I'm like, man, I really hope I give them the link and I'm like, come on, come join us, see what we got going on. Just come see what we got. Because while it's fun to play my own music, I'd love to be able to play some other people's music. A lot of talented people in this world. A lot of talented people, and a lot of people also afflicted with epilepsy, just like me. And if I can provide some love for y'all, that's how we'll do it. So I was going to play a song and sing my way out. The song I sang to start the show, All of Me, I did it in a version that, let's see if I can open this without it screaming at me. I did it in a version where I had used, what do you call it, auto-tune. And I'm not a fan of auto-tune. And I like to sing. And so I went back and I sang it. And then I put it in there. So here's me singing. Hope you like it. On our way out, we're going to play a promo for me and Steve's project. We call it Glitchy Farms. We're making beautiful music all the time, really cool, unique stuff. You know, some of it's funny, some of it's emotional, some of it's powerful. It's very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And we're putting together an album. And like I said before, I'm not trying to get rich doing this. I'm trying to just help people. But at the same time, we will have expenses. And I'd like to be able to make sure we cover some of those expenses. So I don't want people to just super chat me $5 and then, cool, I got $5 and you got to say something. That's if you're going to give me money, I want you to get something for it. So we're putting together an album. We're going to have a Glitchy Farms album. In fact, I think we've got enough stuff to put together too. So you might even have some options. We're going to make it a $10 donation. If you donate $10, you'll be entitled to an album. On top of that, 1/3 of everything that I bring in, I'm going to donate to the North Carolina Epilepsy Alliance. So 1/3 will go to my expenses. 1/3 will go to our producers' expenses over at the Fearless Network. And 1/3 will go right to epilepsy. Because boy, oh boy, do they need help. They need help. They need help. And if I can provide anything, oh, you betcha. You betcha. If me trying to be creative and sell some of my art and get to help Steve put some of his stuff out there, because I mean, damn, Steve's so damn talented, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with him. So I want to make sure that if people are going to donate to the show and be part of the community, that they get something for it. So this is going to be something we're going to work on through the week. We'll see how we get things figured out. So we are going to play my song now, and then we've got a promo ad for our new project, and then after that we will close out, and everybody have a great week. Thank you so much for coming by. Go ahead and play that last tune. Or, well, I guess it's the one I just put in the private. Oh, shit. It's right there. There it is. So that one right there in the private chat, and then the promo.
All of me, wanna take all of me. Can't you see I am no good without you? Take my lips, I won't lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. Your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How can I go on dear without you? You took the part that once was my heart. Why not take all? All of me, wanna take all of me. Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I won't lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. Your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How can I go on dear without you? You took the best, so why not take a rest? Baby, why not take all of me? Baby, take all of me. Why not take all of me? All of me. Why not take all of me?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming by. Hope it's been informative and entertaining, and I hope to see some new faces again next week, and hopefully we can just keep growing. And I mean, had over 100 views on the previous episode, and so I mean, people are watching, and I can't ask for much more than that. Hopefully, eventually it'll pick up even more. And I mean, I'm seeing my subscriber levels grow, and I truly appreciate that from everybody. So, if you could give this a like, a share, tell everyone you know, subscribe to Old Drizzle. I've got all kinds of goofy videos, everything from cat videos to parodies to comedy sketches, everything you can think of. So the coming up here in a little bit, Lucky's going to come on. Her and Elle are going to do their show. If you would like to stop over there, they're going to be talking about the Pelosi psyop, the COVID-19 origins, and the recession. So don't be a lump on your couch. Come join us in the chat. Come listen to Lucky and Elle talk about some fun stuff. And this has been Drizzle's Tank. And what do you know? You're not alone. This is Drizzle's Tank. Signing out.